How's it going, guys? It's Eclipse here, and today we're looking at all of the weak spots of the Super Conqueror. So if you come up against one, you should be able to know exactly how to take it out, and also the situations in which it's actually a lot stronger than you are, and when you can reverse those roles and make it better for you or advantageous for you. So to start off with, we'll go straight onto the armor viewer and have a look at what we can do. So first things first, we've got the frontal situation. If it's looking straight at you and there's no obstacles in between, the main focus for you is the lower plate right here. As you can see, there's this upper plate bit right here with spaced armor. That is 270 millimeters if you're flat looking at it on the level. If you're above it, you do get slightly less armor because obviously there's no or less of an angle to shoot at, so you're going to have 200 mil. So if you're in something like a type 4 heavy or something like that looking down on it, you have no troubles penning that. Next thing you want to make sure is anywhere on the tank frontally is pretty much impenetrable, other than if you get really lucky with the cupola, you hit it somewhat flat somehow, but you don't want to aim for the turret or cupola at all. And if you see it hold down, just leave, because there's not much point poking out into this tank if it is hold down. It's a bit like an IS-7, so you have to treat it that way with regards to its turret. The only other thing you can kind of mention is that if you do have something like a Jaegeru or a Death Star, you can auto pen the top of its turret due to the 50.8 millimeters of armor on top. So you can overmatch it and you'll pen, but even then it's risky because it could drop low, it could go over, whatever. It's quite a small target, and usually you'll be firing at range, so you're not going to hit it. And also, if it's angled using gun depression, which I believe it gets 10 degrees, you have absolutely no chance shooting the top of the tank, and so it becomes rather overpowered on a ridgeline. So that's where you want to be using it, not fighting it at all. So make sure you're aware of that. Don't fight one on a ridgeline because you'll lose. And because of its gun stats, it's ridiculous. So lower plate is your main focus if you're one-on-one and looking at it. On a ridgeline, don't even try it unless you've got the side of him, because that's pretty weak. Make sure you don't hit this part here because it's stupidly well armored. So if you are aiming at the side, which if you get round, you don't want to be aiming at the turret because that's got a lot more armor. Well, it's got more chance of actually bouncing a shot if you're aiming for the turret, but if you aim right at the back, you're pretty much guaranteed to pen with every single tank that will meet it. But the only problem with it is this spaced armor. If you're firing heat or anything, make sure you stay very far away from that, and you don't need to be firing heat anyway, so make sure you're just firing standard and hit either the side, avoiding the tracks, or if you've got enough pen you can just go through the tracks anyway and then pen again. Or the back of the turret right here is 70 millimeters in some places and 90 millimeters / 100 in the majority of other places, avoiding that spaced armor plate right there. Make sure you don't hit this kind of stupid armor value that's just randomly in there for some reason. If we have a look at the visual model, you can't really see it. It's behind some of these bag things, so watch out for that. It's in there, like as you can see, is this bit here. But anyway, other than that, that is pretty much the side. So if you get the side, make sure you're focusing anywhere on the hull. It's got crap side on them, 100 millimeters, and then the back of the turret is where you're aiming. From the back though, you actually can deal significantly more damage if you fire HE, because the back of the tank has got 38.1 millimeters of armor, which is absolutely nothing at all. So if you get the back, make sure you're focusing that with HE. Since you will do that extra DPM, it means that if it does manage to turn its turret around and use its DPM on you, which is ridiculous at 2,876, which is stupid for a heavy tank. That's competitive with some mediums at the same tier. So make sure you're firing HE to make yourself get a better game and get more damage. Anyway, that is pretty much what we have for the weak spots of the Super Conqueror. There's not a lot of them. So the turret is not really one at all. The lower plate is the biggest one from the front. You can't really pen anywhere else unless you've got 300 pen and a high caliber gun as well. Even with 300 pen, if you miss even slightly, go into the gun mantlet, you're not penning, or this spaced armor plate. So just watch out for that. And the turret is just a no-go. It's not got a cupola that can pen, so don't worry about that. So just aim for the lower plate. If you don't have the lower plate, try and flank it. If you can't flank it, don't even try. Alright guys, now that we've looked over the Super Conqueror, I thought it might be interesting to look at the weak spots and the changes that Wargaming have made to the Tier 9 and Tier 8 British heavy tanks as well, so that you know how to take those out as well if you were watching it up until this point. So with the Conqueror, the Tier 9, and the main thing you want to focus on is this lower plate once again, as with the Super Conqueror. But the upper plate, however, this time is actually significantly less, because obviously it doesn't get the kind of upgraded hull armor, because it doesn't have that spaced plate. And the majority of the time with the Conqueror, you can pen with kind of Tier 9s that have high penetration above 250. Premium rounds do tend to go up higher than that, so you should be fine with most tanks with premium rounds. Obviously, if it's using a ridgeline, you don't want to be aiming at the upper plate, and because it will have to kind of expose its lower plate if you can see the hole at all, then you want to be shooting it, because it's even less angled and it's only got 90mm of effective if it's using its gun depression to maximum advantage. So make sure you are aware of that. The Conqueror, however, with regards to its turret, is not as strong as the Super Conqueror in terms of the cupola and the top of the tank. So you do actually have a place where you can pen it reliably anyway, if you're aiming for the weak spot, which is this cupola on top right here. As you can see, it does get these flat bits right at the top, as opposed to the Super Conqueror, which is kind of just a rounded, really low profile cupola. So you can aim for those bits right there, and also there's quite a bit of places where you might be able to ricochet off and it still hits the cupola, so that would be quite lucky, but it is possible. It's not that small of a target to hit either. I mean, it's not a huge target, but it is definitely there as an option if you're fighting hold down versus hold down. I wouldn't recommend trying to like focus it in a medium tank. You've got better places to go and use your gun instead, because you've got the mobility to reposition, and you might be able to get some of the side armor with the Conqueror. And then that's pretty much it from the front. So it's pretty similar to the Super Conqueror. If you can get the front, you want to focus the lower plate, but if you do have 250mm of penetration or higher, then you will want to focus the upper plate or the lower plate. It doesn't really matter, as long as you've got 260mm to reliably go through the front of the tank. Alright guys, so this tank pretty much has a massive weak spot, and that is anywhere on the side armor. The only places you don't want to shoot, so this is a general rule, is this frontal bit of the side of the turret, anywhere near the gun obviously, because you're not going to pen the gun, and then this area right here above the tracks and kind of below the turret. So you want to aim for the back of the tank if you've got it, and then anywhere near the very front of the hull, trying to actually get the tracking shot and also penetrate as well is something that you should always focus on, and you can do that with both the back and the front of the tracks reliably. And then obviously the rear of the tank. So the rear of the tank has yet again no armor. So if you've got HE rounds that have over like 38, maybe if you rounded it up to 40mm of penetration with HE rounds, then you want to fire that at the back of the Conqueror, since it's awful armor at the back. And if you've got HE, it'll probably set them on fire, since they do have like a 20% chance of setting on fire, and I'm pretty sure it goes up if you fire HE and pen, so we'll go with that. Back of the turret you don't really want to be shooting from, because obviously it's got that extra risk of bouncing if you get an auto ricochet shot off the side, so you want to hit the back. Even if it's angled, you'll pen anyway because it's just awful. And yeah, what you want to do, however, if it is side scraping you, a lot of the places, if you hit this frontal bit right here, you can actually pen with 170mm. Don't want to hit anywhere near the tracks because it will get absorbed. You want to hit this bit here in particular, and then if you can't hit that, and you can see a tiny bit of the lower plate, then you want to pen that. If you can't see any of that, then I wouldn't recommend like, you know, chancing it and shooting anywhere. You just wait until they expose either this bit here, if they're over angling in certain time, or if they're just doing it at the angling right, you want to wait until they expose this bit to you before you pull out. Anyway, I hope that was informative for you. I hope you've seen some of the weak spots, or all of the weak spots of the Conqueror, and then hopefully you'll be able to actually take them out more effectively than what you did before you started watching the video. We'll go on to the next in the line, which is the Caernarvon. It got basically a turret upgrade. That is what I've been seeing, and you basically don't want to shoot anywhere on the turret since it is 254mm of armor. But there are some weak spots like the cupola here, not as prominent. Yet again, it's a bit like the Super Conqueror, whereas it's a really slim target to actually hit. A lot of the time tier 8s do have enough pen if they load premium rounds to pretty much go through the front of the turret, because 250 pens not that much, but tank destroyers will probably be able to go through you if they're loading their premium rounds or even some of their standard rounds. Upper plate is actually pretty good frontally on. You got 220mm pretty much, and if you're using your gun depression, you get even more, along with even more turret armor, and no one's seeing your cupola at all there. Since this does get around, well, it does get 10 degrees of gun depression, which is actually really nice. I'm looking forward to playing this tank now, and with the upgraded gun that it's got, it's going to be really good. However, yet again with the line, it does get a trash lower plate, so people are just going to be focusing you there. Make sure that you actually aim for this if you're trying to kill a Caernarvon. Yet again, lower plate. Next thing is the side. Yet again with the British tanks is actually trash again. It's actually slightly better turret from the side, so if you're going to aim at anywhere, don't just aim at the side of the hull as opposed to the turret, because it does have slightly more, and you've got that chance of getting a ricochet angle where it just doesn't pen, or it derping into the front where it has a lot more armor, as with the mantlet, etc. So if you're aiming, just aim for the hull, and then obviously the back of the tank is absolutely trash once again at 38mm of armor. So that is pretty much all of the British heavy tank weak spots from tier 8 to tier 10. I hope you guys found it somewhat informative once again, and I hope you liked the video. If you did, I would greatly appreciate you liking the video down below, and also if you want to see any more content like this, anything on news, updates, etc., then subscribe to the channel. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.